All right, trade pros, good morning and welcome to our morning market update for Tuesday, August the 7th of 2018. This is Off Trade Pro Academy. Happy to be with you. We're going to talk about a few things in today's session. There's one news item driving pretty much the entire cycle that markets are fixated on, and that's the Iran sanctions. We'll talk a little bit more in depth about that. I'll give you some statistics about this market rally and what it looks like from an all-time high perspective. Recap some of the economic news and talk about Facebook, why Facebook's up 4.5%, and why I believe Facebook is going to be getting into payments. So we're going to talk about all these things in today's session. Let's get started by taking a tour around the world. I say this every morning. It's probably getting repetitive, but hey, the market's a repetitive thing. Grab your passports. We're going for a trip around the continents. In Asia, Japan's up 0.7 of a percentage point. Hong Kong's up 1.5%. Really big, firm, and strong rally out of the Hong Kong market. And it gets better. China up 2.7% and India down 0.1 of a percent. And when you think about what these Asian markets are doing, they're up strong after quite a sell-off. At one point in China, market was down over 20%, which was officially into bear market territory. So people wonder, well, there's still a trade war. There's still all these things that impact the market. Why are the markets rebounding? And the reason is there was a lot of sell pressure, and at some point we have to give back some of the gains. So in China and Asian markets are they're still a little bit more bearish. The U.S. markets are starting to turn bullish, and we're just a couple points away from all-time highs in the S&P 500. I got distracted over there from outside. In the office alone today, but it did show some deterioration in trade based on some of these sanctions and the trade wars. So it's starting to hit and impact these economic indicators. So despite that, though, we're back in green. All markets are rocketing higher in Europe as well. In the United States, Dow Jones is up 0.3 of a percent, S&P's up 0.2 of a percent, and Nasdaq is the leader, up 0.3 of a percent. Actually, Nasdaq's up as much as the Dow. The Nasdaq and technology stocks have led the way over the last couple months. They've been strong. There's been some volatility, primarily with Facebook and Netflix. Some companies missed earnings, but there's still a lot more buying than there is selling in the technology stocks. So when you look at institutional investors, they're heavily invested in this sector. Their top 10 holdings of a lot of mutual funds and ETFs are heavily concentrated into technology stocks, and primarily the big ones: Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, which is FANG with two A's. FANG. FANG. All right. The all-time high on the S&P 500 was on January 9th on the S&P 500, and it traded up to 2876.8. All right, that's the all-time high on the index. Today we're sitting at about 2454, so just 22 points shy of an all-time high in the S&P 500. Heck, we could get that today. And I think what's going to happen is if we start to make a push a little bit higher through some of these overhead resistances, we're going to see a lot of sellers get squeezed out of the trade, and we're going to have a short squeeze rally to all-time highs on low volume. All right, that's the kind of day I expect today. I expect to see some bullish momentum, and today might be the day that we close on all-time highs, or at some point this week. However, that's not going to happen without an attempt on the sell side to push prices lower. So in today's market, we're looking for early morning sell-offs to buy dips and to ride the upside trend until it breaks through and above resistance levels. All right. In January, however, when it hit the all-time high, the market dropped 12% in just 5 trading days, or 7 business days, or 7 regular days in 1 week. All right. So that drop looked pretty bearish. It was very, very bearish, actually, in fact. And now we're pretty close back to that high before that drop. It took a while, but we've gotten there. It's taken almost half the year, but we're back close to record levels. All right, Nasdaq, in comparison, has been trading on record levels since that day. We've been continuing higher on Nasdaq. Nasdaq hit the high much sooner, and the latest all-time highs on July 25th, just a couple days ago, that traded at 7933.31. Dow Jones is much, much further away from these all-time highs than any other market. So if you have to put this in perspective, Nasdaq is leading, S&P is trying to follow, and Dow Jones is underperforming. Russell has also hit all-time highs. The Russell 2000 index which is smaller cap stocks. So if you were to rearrange what I just said, Nasdaq's leading, S&P, Nasdaq's leading, Russell's leading as well to a lower extent, but still hit all-time highs. S&P's trying to follow, and Dow's underperforming. And that's how you use these correlations on a daily basis as well. You watch Nasdaq. If Nasdaq's ripping, you're looking for opportunities to get long in the S&P 500 for a follow-through. All right, crude oil is up 0.8% today. Gold is up 0.5%. Bitcoin's up 1.6, but trading near the low 7,000s. Yesterday's rumor of Starbucks accepting Bitcoin was denied officially by the company. And I mean, they were thinking about introducing this, but I'll tell you this: if I'm a CEO of a massive company, which I am, TRADEPRO Academy is global and huge. What I'm going to do is, if somebody sniffs out my future projects, I'm going to deny it too. No, that's not true, and work on it behind the scenes and launch it. So just because they denied it doesn't mean that in the next couple months' time we won't see Bitcoin payment network across Starbucks, but at this point, it's declined. It's false. All right. News this morning, 10 a.m., we're going to have JOLTS, which is the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey. It's a jobs look. It's a pretty important indicator, pretty important economic event, rather. So we're going to keep our eyes out on that on the top of the hour. 1 p.m., we have results of a $34 billion 3-year note auction. That's going to move the fixed income markets. And at 3 p.m., we have the consumer credit report. And at 4:30 this afternoon, we're going to have the crude oil API numbers. That's the inventory report. And then tomorrow at 10:30, we have the Department of Energy, which is far more tradable. The API comes out to private subscribers first. And if you're asking how much does it cost to subscribe to it, a lot. And if you don't know the cost, there's a reason, right? I don't get it either. It's lower volatility, lower contracts trade in those API inventory numbers. Not worth the hassle. But the Wednesday morning, that's when the real trade comes in, because it's full on liquidity. Every trader is watching that. All right, let's talk about what's causing some of the look. The markets are going up, but there is news here on Iran as well. So this is why oil's got a bit of a bid going to it. This is the primary reason. All right, the United States has imposed the first batch of sanctions on Iran. They've officially come into effect 90 days after the United States withdrew from the Iran nuclear accord, or the nuclear deal. All right. The new sanctions basically ban the sale of US dollars to Iran. So Iran, they're trying to limit the supply, or limit the quantity of dollars that Iran can get, to restrict trade and movement of goods, and also purchases with the US dollar. The US dollar is an international currency. All right. Also sanctions in their precious metals department and industrial materials, and they're outlawing the purchase of Iran's sovereign debt. That means nations that purchase debt from Iran are going to be in violation of this sanction. The reason being is, if you purchase a country's sovereign debt, you're giving them money to operate. So this is an attempt to limit the Iranian government from receiving funding for their operations and to run their country. All right, and this is a measure from the United States. Also, they're restricting the country's auto and aerospace sector. I think they're putting not tariffs, but on aluminum and other metals and precious metals used for those sectors. So that's going to impact them as well, unless Iran complies with the U.S. demand. So it's a little bit of a bully move, but there's far tougher regulations coming in November 5th, and that's going to cut off Iran's oil exports. And at that point on November 5th, it gets a lot worse. And they're going to impose sanctions on shipping as well. Here's the thing. Why is oil going up if Iran sanctions are only at this point monetary and US dollar based? Here's why. Because it's no longer a bluff. All right. It's become reality. And the fact that these rounds of sanctions have become a reality, November 5th looks a lot more likely as well. So that's why there's a little bit of unknown as to what's going to happen on November 5th. And the way the market works, what you do is you buy on rumor, sell on news. Right now, they're planning to have a November 5th sanction on Iranian oil, but until then, oil prices will go up in expectation of that happening. All right, so that's why oil is up. That's simple. Sanctions on Iran mean that it's no longer bluffing. It's now official. The second round looks a lot more likely. Oil's going to the upside, and it's coming at a time where it's sold off sharp, and now we're trying to rebound. So we have some shorts stuck near the lows. We have shorts that have been hitting this trend. Now you have this news. And if we get a solid API report on a draw and tomorrow's DOE being on a draw, you're going to have a massive rip in oil just because everything's lining up for an all across the board bullish event on oil markets. All right. Yesterday, Facebook shares jumped 4.5%. Before we get into that, by the way, what that means is look for opportunities to buy sell-offs in oil. And if you're a swing trader, look to qualify a low-risk, high-probability trade on oil prices. You got some upside coming over the next couple weeks. All right, Facebook shares jumped 4.5% yesterday after a Wall Street Journal reported that Facebook asked big banks to share financial information and checking account balances or account balances on their credit cards with major financial institutions. So Facebook is getting nosy. They were entrusted to share to shepherd the data rather that they've collected. They give it to a third-party company. Third-party company leaks it out. Mark Zuckerberg goes to Congress and promises all these things, and then now goes to big banks and says, "Hey, tell me what people have on their credit card balances." They've already talked to J.P. Morgan, Chase, ticker symbol JPM, Wells Fargo, WFC, and Citigroup C, and U.S. Bancorp, USB. That's their ticker symbol, USB. Vic, when we're in the office and I ask you for a USB cable, say Bancorp? It's funny. About getting details like transactions and checking account balances, and to consider offerings it could host for the bank's customers on Facebook Messenger. Here's how you read this report. Facebook says, all right, big bank companies, give me your client's financial info. And if we have your client's financial info, they could receive real-time support through Facebook Messenger. Now, a lot of you may not know this, but businesses have switched to a trend where they provide their live chat services through a new Facebook Messenger service. And that's interesting because when you're talking to your clients, now you know a lot of data about them through Facebook. So it's innovative on Facebook's behalf, but really creepy. Imagine being on customer service and that customer service agent having information to everything you post on Facebook. Problem solved, don't post on Facebook. But that's not going to happen. And so here's the real big thing about this. And I'm going to end this broadcast on this note. Facebook, what they're trying to do is not to provide customer support to bank clients. They're trying to put bank information on their Facebook user profiles. So, get this, they could become a financial institution themselves. I could see Facebook making a push into selling an online, basically clearing transactions and having their own credit card system. All right, like a Facebook credit card, and getting into the payments business. That's really the underlying push behind this. Very interesting. Facebook's up 4.5% for that reason after getting killed on their earnings report. All right, so it's kind of a good news, creepy news story out of Facebook. That's what's driving the push higher, and I thought I'd share that with you. Last but not least, the RBA, the Reserve Bank of Australia, held their interest rates at record lows at 1.5%, no hikes. It's been there for 2 years, and basically the RBA declined to tighten fiscal stimulus or monetary policy, and by them failing to tighten, they're not joining the trend with the ECB and the Federal Reserve, and how even the Bank of Japan's trying to tighten conditions. They've been trying for over 25 years. So RBA is not joining the crowd. They're being more accommodative and loose with their monetary policy. RBA Governor Philip Lowe said that the uncertainty over domestic household consumption worries him, and noted that a toll has been taken on Australia's farm sector by a recent drought. So they basically used 2 weak excuses to not start tightening monetary policy, and Australian dollar dropped because of that news. And it's very interesting. They're separating or deviating from the pack. So if you're looking for a Fed trade, you could long the dollar, sell the Aussie for an opportunity for the long term for these monetary policy divergences. Just an idea. All right. That's what I got for you guys. Looking to buy the early morning sell-off and ride the continuation to the upside today. I could probably say in both oil and the S&P 500 confidently. We're looking for the same trade in 2 markets. All right, guys, have yourself a great day. Manage your risk. Trade like a trade pro. I hope you enjoyed this market update. And if you enjoyed it, guess what? YouTube put a button down there for you, a little thumbs up. Please like it. It really helps us get the word out about what we do on YouTube, and helps us grow our family. The more people on the YouTube channel, the more that we build out a community, the more support you get from them, and the better that we grow together. All right. The family is expanding. There's nothing wrong with it. Hit the like button, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. All right. For another morning market update. Good luck. Good trading. Manage your risk and trade like a trade pro. Vic, anything from you? He just nodded his head. Somebody called you Persian yesterday. He said Persian Vic. I thought that was funny. All right. He's Bulgarian, not Persian. But Bulgarian is just as bad. I mean, not the I'm going to just turn around. Bye, guys. See you tomorrow. Oh, man. Should have just cut it off a couple. Yeah. I got a shovel and I'm digging deeper. That's what my mom used to say. All right, guys. See you later, YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. See you tomorrow.